Hello my friends and welcome back. When I was in the 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, I had one of the most extraordinary teachers I had in my own life, professors and teachers. I didn't like him at first, but then I got to understand that he was a genius. And why am I saying this? What was so extraordinary about this? He was a mathematics, arithmetics, geometry teacher. His name was Velzan. Doesn't matter anyway. He was an old guy, short guy, ugly guy, but he had this, one of many qualities. He had this. He was dumbing down everything that he was teaching. That means he could use examples for idiots, which it was us, the children. So he was able to dumb down for dumbasses like us, according to each child's intelligence or for the classroom. He was talking like this, for instance. Well, guys, if you have here a cow, and the cow goes and eats some, wheat, and then goes over here. He was giving examples, simple examples, like the cows, wheat, one dog, one cat, like for retards, because we were retards, we were kids. Okay? So that I got to realize that he was a genius when I realized that he can make things from complex theorems, I don't know how to call it in English, turn them into such simple examples. Now, he was not lying to us, but he was making it very easy for us to understand with our... Now, we have here a situation where we have adults using euphemisms to refer to certain things, certain actions, certain situations, and they try to make it better, like milder, instead of just telling us the truth. And we are adults right now. When I mentioned that guy, Velzan, the teacher, is that he was making things clear and direct. He was not lying. He was just making it clear, dumbed down. We have here the situation in Ukraine where you have adults with very much responsibility. I'm talking about generals, military generals, who come in front of us and they tell us, provide us with some information that they use just euphemisms. Like, for instance, instead of saying, well, 20 Russians were killed, blown up into pieces. Well, 20 Russians were, sent to meet their gods. No, that's not what it was. You know what I mean? Or the Russians landed some missiles on our territory, and a few people were a little bit upset about it, and they had some little problems. Basically, they died. So we have here this guy who, I don't know what exactly happened in the Ukrainian leadership, but something happened in the past 3 to 4 days. We seem to have Zelensky sidelined, and we have generals and their names pushed forward, making statements. I've been reading Ukrainska Pravda, the voice of Ukraine, and Ukraine from the beginning of the whatever happens in Ukraine. And I can tell you that now, more than ever, I hear different generals' names and statements. In this case, we have again Zaluzhnyi, who I think is the chief of the guy in charge of the Ukraine military, let's put it this way, coming from Ukrainska Pravda today, December 19th. And this is what this guy says. Zaluzhnyi, maybe you recognize the face. All right, this guy. He's in charge. He's the chief of staff of armed forces of Ukraine or something like that. Zaluzhnyi, that's his name, supports increasing responsibility for servicemen guilty of desertion and disobedience. All this is weasel talk. I'm going to read it again. this guy, the general, supports increasing responsibility for servicemen guilty of desertion and disobedience. That means I support killing the deserters and the people who are not following orders. That's the translation. But he tells us supports increasing responsibility. No, I support the actions that will be taken for the deserters, bam, 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 and the people who disobey orders. But they weaseled it out. This is a general who's supposed to tell us, hey, 5 Russians shot 50 rounds and killed 3 Ukrainians on this spot on that day. That's what he's supposed to function by. Evidence, number, times, location, who did to whom, what, where, when, all that thing. That's all he needs to do. Now, I don't know if this is what he said, we're going to find out, or what Ukrainska Pravda said. So, Valery Zaluzhnyi, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, stated that he supports the law number 8271, which increases the criminal liability of military personnel for disobeying combat orders, deserting the battlefield of a military unit. Basically, people who don't want to fight and are deserters, I agree being deserving whatever. But he's the source is Valery Zaluzhny's video statement on Facebook, and I'm quoting, "Today I have raised a rather difficult topic, increased responsibility for military personnel for voluntarily leaving a military unit or place of service, desertion, voluntarily leaving the battlefield, or refusal to act with weapons, disobedience, and failure to comply with combat orders." Wow! Hey, whoever deserts and doesn't fight, he's gonna be killed. Basically, that's what he's saying. But he's saying that, all that, hanky-panky, lemby-bangy. And I'm continuing to quote him. "I support the relevant amendments to the legislation adopted by the Verkhovka Rada of Ukrainian Parliament and ask the President to sign the law. My opinion clearly reflects the position of commanders of groups and military units who demanded a systematic solution to this set of issues." So basically he says, hey, we got a big problem with desertion. Remember, when the Russians don't want to fight, we hear about it like in plain English. The Russian whatever refused to fight and they were beaten. I had that, but I didn't make a video on that because I was, what the fuck? Okay, they were, no. So they're still alive, good. But these guys are weaseling out like, oh, we gotta find the right terms so it doesn't look like we all do. You don't want to fight? Meet Jesus. Details. The army exists on discipline, Zaluzhnyi emphasized. Yes, and they know it. And if gaps in the legislation do not ensure its compliance, that means if there's no clear signal that we shoot each and every person who doesn't follow the orders, then they will not follow orders. So it has to be explicitly explained to these guys, if you desert, if you don't disobey orders, this is military. This is not kindergarten, not United States. Diversity, equity, and you know what I mean. So, if gaps in the legislation do not ensure its compliance, and refuseniks can pay a fine of up to 10% of combat pay or receive the probationary sentence, this is unfair, the commander-in-chief believes. Yes, because what he says in plain English, just taking them 10% for the deserters out of their pay, or take 10% of the people who refuse to obey orders, that's not the military. The military means follow order, order discipline, no. Bye-bye. Quote, furthermore, this is key. Exposed areas of the front are forced to be covered by other servicemen. which leads to increased losses of personnel, territories, and civilians on them. Often, lost positions have to be restored by assault actions at a very high cost. This should not be the case. Details. According to Zaluzhnyi, it is possible to solve this problem in a softer way. No, it's only one way to solve the problem. Examples. You know how we set examples? Okay. Only in peacetime, but in wartime, quickly and effective solutions are needed. Basically, what he says, we need to do it now, set an example, and everybody else will be like, okay, where do I need to go? Who do I kill? Basically. So, you see how the weasel talk is? Exposed areas of the front are forced to be covered by others if other people refuse to fight, which leads to increases losses of personnel, territories, and civilians because you leave your post and you refuse to fight and you're a deserter. Often lost positions have to be restored by assault actions at a very high cost. This should not be the case. So you expose other people to more danger if you leave your post, if you're a deserter, if you don't follow orders, which is normal in a war, which means, are you fighting or are you not fighting? If you're not fighting, this is what you get. If you fight, go and fight. Details. According to Zaluzhnyi, it is possible to solve this problem in a softer way, only in peacetime, but in wartime, quick and effective solutions are needed. Yeah, and you know exactly what he means. But these guys are not telling us that. Why? Because the Ukrainians are not human somehow, you know. He also emphasized that commanders are fully legally responsible for their actions. Where are we here? Or inactions. That means actions, boom boom, or if you don't, boom boom, because of disobedience. And has full confidence in his subordinates. That means if I tell you to do that, and you know the guy is not fighting, you know what you have to do. Quote, do I recognize the existence of problems that lead to arbitrary abandonment of positions? Yes. I'm constantly working on this elimination, on their elimination, and the successful operations to liberate the territory of our state are a confirmation of that. It is normal that we discuss this rather sensitive topic in public? Yes. I'm quoting, we are in a democratic state. When you are under the martial law, democracy and rights and freedoms are suspended, my boy. Anyway, but just as long as it doesn't hurt our effort to win the war. Therefore, I urge everyone to put an end to this debate. That means don't desert, guys, and together bring victory closer. On December 13, the Rada approved and directed the President to sign draft law number 8271, which significantly strengthens the criminal liability of the military. That means if you don't fight, one bullet, not two. A petition asking Volodymyr Zelensky to promise this law gained more than 25,000 votes a day. So, when I read articles about Ukrainians deserting and being beaten and killed and so on, everybody was like, oh, how awful. But they used the right words for their actions. So they matched. Here, they don't use the right words for the right actions. They are whistling out. They're not like my teacher, who was like dumbing it down and making it clear, plain Romanian at that time. Hey, it's a cow plus another cow equals 2 cows. Okay. But these guys, you know what, let me tell you, if you don't do this, this is what he says. Guys, that's an increase in people who are deserting and people who refuse to fight. So we have to figure things out. And how do we do this? We narrow down and we are going to be more active. That means if you desert, you're going to be probably on the spot. If you don't follow orders, you're going to be probably on the spot. Got it? That's just a very friendly reminder. Okay? All right. So this is the message. You see how double speaks works here, or newspeak, whatever newspeak. I think this is newspeak, falls under the newspeak, not on doublespeak. Doublespeak is war is peace and peace is war, this kind of thing. This is just eliminating, a certain kind of nuances and details and making it like, oh my God, we are all human. Yeah, we're all the same. No. Thank you, to a certain extent, yes, but you know what I mean. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.